All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, if you are seeing this, then give me some sort of a thumbs up on Facebook Live, or if you want to comment in the chat box, go ahead and let us know that you can hear us and see us, okay? Because we want to make sure. We're having some technical difficulties here. It seems to be par for the course, unfortunately. And Adrian, I see you. Elizabeth, I see you. All right, thanks, guys. All right, well, sorry that it took so long, but now we are here, and welcome to Association Chat, your weekly online discussion for the association community, where we warm ourselves by the virtual fire with the topics of the day, welcoming thought leaders and trailblazers alike to join up in this online home for the community. I'm the host of Association Chat, Kiki L'Italienne, and I want to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor, Fontiva. Yes, the AMS for innovation. Thank you, Fontiva, for your ongoing support of Association Chat and the community here. If you're on Crowdcast, you can click the little call to action button to check out Fontiva. Go check out their blog for the association community. Sorry, it's a blog for the association community. You should check it out. And if you are listening to this later on iTunes or on Stitcher or on Spreaker or on iHeartRadio, you can just visit fontiva.com. Good folks over there. So for this episode of Association Chat, I am so fortunate. We are talking about something that's really, really important to all of us all of the time, every day, every part of the year, but especially important for us to talk about at this time of the year. We are getting ready to go into the holiday season. And in fact, depending on whenever you're listening to this, you're either approaching the Christmas holidays, we've Hanukkah, all kinds of different holidays are coming up, parties, celebrations. As a matter of fact, on Thursday this week, we are celebrating Thanksgiving. So lots and lots and lots of stuff that we're going to be looking at to health. And so health is such an important thing for us to talk about. Wellness is an important thing for us to talk about. And in the association and events communities, we tend to have a really hard time with this. We sort of burn the candles at both ends. So with us today, we have some experts talking about facing the holidays and conferences and life in general with a healthier attitude, making healthier decisions. We have Aaron Walla. He's an award-winning learning strategist and meetings coach for leading trade associations and membership societies all across the United States. You might know him from this work with Event Guard, which is a professional development consultancy, but you also might know him from something called Healthy by Association, which is a space that was created for association and hospitality professionals to set goals, share accomplishments, share healthy recipes, and stay motivated. And I have to say this, I am a part of this group. It's awesome. I don't post all the time, but I definitely check out what other people are saying and what they're posting. And it's really, really remarkable. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely go and join. Now, my next guest is Angela Pelt, and she has spent over 20 years in the hospitality and meetings industry, but she's transitioned into the health and fitness world. And Angela believes in daily activity, and she's completed several Beachbody workout programs and also loves running and yoga. She's a big part of Healthy by Association. I'll ask you about that in a little bit, Angela. But what I want to go into right now is I want to talk about this issue with health in the association and events space, because Aaron, you know, when you started Healthy by Association, I know that you knew this was an issue, especially for these industries. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having us today. We certainly appreciate the opportunity. I think you introduced us a little bit earlier, Kiki, as experts. And I don't know to what extent I'm willing to embrace that title. But I think that certainly over the course of the past year and certainly over my lifetime and my career, it's been something of interest and fascination and focus for me to a varying extent over time. And certainly right now, that is one of those peaks for me. And you're exactly right. I think that, in thinking about health and wellness and thinking about our journey as association professionals, I think unlike some other industries where professionals, workers, employees can sort of turn off the email or turn off their work. We work in sort of an association hospitality event space that doesn't necessarily allow us to do that. That in some cases, particularly if we are working in small associations, maybe we're it, or maybe we're our entire department, or maybe we're an entire functional area. We're the only event or association professional working. And so it becomes even more challenging to sort of turn off some of our work. And so instead of caring for ourselves, whether it's through self-care or healthy eating or even staying hydrated, instead of all of those things, we sort of go the opposite route, where we're not staying hydrated, we're not eating healthy, we're not working out, and it is causing a lot of stress. And stress has pretty profound impact on our bodies when we allow it to get to a point that is overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you created Healthy by Association, I was really interested in that idea because we all know people who go to these conferences, and I'm just using that as an example, but we go to the conferences and it's just like, it is like a marathon, and we all exchange tips and tricks amongst each other about like, well, I never eat when I go to a conference. Elizabeth, who's on here live right now, and you guys who are listening to this later, this is the benefit of participating live. But I was just talking with her at an event last week, and the same sort of thing. Well, I never eat at these things, so this is what I'm trying to do. And we all know what that is, it's whether it's stashing the protein bars or whatever. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is not just those tips, those sort of trade secrets that we figure out over time, but it's also about approaching the holidays, because, you certainly have put together some ideas that tend to work, some, I guess, recipes for advice, life skills that we can apply to be healthier. So, what do you have to say about that when we're approaching these parties, when we're looking at walking into the whole Thanksgiving insanity that's about to take place? What are some ideas that we can use that's going to help us navigate that better?
One of the number one things that I usually think of, I've been on a health and fitness journey for the better part of my life. And it always, any decision that I make should go back to why I started taking care of myself in the first place. So I think figuring out what your why is, that sounds kind of like, whatever. But in the meeting world, we're, talking about goals and objectives. Like, what is your goal and objective? Why are you doing this in the first place? So I think that can be a really powerful driver for every decision that you make. And if you can have the sanity in the moment, there she is. If you can have the sanity in the moment to let that why drive your decision, I think you can have some very good success in navigating the holidays or office parties a little bit better direction.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And just really quick, for those who were concerned about the and wondering what that was all about, we have our third guest, who I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to connect or not, but she's actually here. And so Lola Caps is, and I'm getting a little bit of feed. Is anybody else getting that too?
Are you? Is it because I don't have headphones?
I think so. I think so. It might be.
Okay.
So why don't you go grab those? I'll introduce Lola while she's grabbing those and turn the mic off for a second. So Lola's a mom. She's a chiropractor. She's a CrossFitter. The thing that's remarkable about her, she's also a business owner. She owns a business with her husband, and they have spent their entire careers devoted to wellness and health. And so one of the things that she does is she likes to go in and work with different groups of people, talking about different levels of health, like meeting them where they are so that they can bring it on. And I know that that's something that Aaron and Angela, I've seen you guys talk about too repeatedly in the group. And so let's try this. Okay, Lola, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, and if you can just hold the microphone away from your shirt a little bit. There you go. It's very sensitive. I think so.
Is that better?
Yeah. It sounds a little bit fuzzy. There's something breaking up, I think. What do you guys think? Yeah. Are you hearing it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not working. Sorry, Lola. I don't know why. Yeah.
Is that any better?
Okay. That is totally better. All right. So let's go back into it. This is going to be so fun to edit later, by the way. Okay. So let's go back into it and talk about some of these tips. We're talking about going into the holidays, figuring out some tips. And we heard from Angela talking about how we need to know our why, know why we're doing things, what it is that we're really trying to achieve and keeping our focus, right? Aaron, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, so I think a few things in general. I think that as Angela and I were thinking about this for today's chat, we just we're thinking about things like it's a long month, and I use the word month loosely and put it in quotes because although the holiday season isn't a month per se, it sort of starts unofficially with sort of this week of Thanksgiving in late November. It continues into most of December for a variety of Christmas and Hanukkah and holiday season, and also kind of rolls into January. We think about New Year's and all of that. And so it's kind of a long month and a half, 2 months, right? If you will. And when we think about all of the things coming up, parties at the office, parties with coworkers, parties with family, with friends, Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, and sort of the list goes on and on. It's, Christmas at my family's house and his family's house. And, it just, it becomes a long and very tedious list to navigate. All good things, not bad things, but all things that we have to navigate. And so thinking about all of those events, I think, can be a challenge if you don't go into it with a plan. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking about something as simple as, what I'm going to have for lunch today or tomorrow. And, I think we've all been in the situation where we're hangry. We're just so hungry. Maybe we didn't get enough protein for breakfast, or we're taking, lunch kind of ran late. And we're just so hungry that we become hangry. And in that moment that we're hangry, we make bad choices. We don't necessarily know what we want or what would be good or would nourish us or would refuel us for the afternoon. And so instead of being mindful and thoughtful and intentional, we just kind of make a quick snap decision. And we do something that's maybe a little less healthy for ourselves, in some cases a lot less healthy for ourselves. And while maybe it feels good in the moment, what happens is an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours later, you feel it. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, like, oh man, like I ate too much, or that didn't really settle well. And I share that story because I think that happens during the holiday season as well. So you go into the next thing on your to-do list. We're all so busy. You go to the next party, and instead of going in with a game plan, you're kind of hangry. You're hangry because you're coming off of other events or work or running around from one event to the next. And so you're not necessarily thinking clearly. And so we go into these parties, I think that it's just important to stick to your routine, to think about your normal schedule, whether it's your normal eating schedule, or your normal workout schedule, your normal drinking schedule, whatever your normal meal prep or exercise, or whatever is normal for you, whatever you've identified as normal during your year. I think you want to infuse as much of that normalcy and scheduling into the holiday planning as well. So that certainly would be, I think, one of my ideas or one of my tips or thoughts is to, stick to the normalcy. And if you have to create a plan of attack, or if you have to be a little different, to go in with a game plan in place. I was talking with Angela about this, and we think that the holidays are a time where you get something special, right? Your mom makes that like awesome toffee, or you get Nana's cookies, or you get the stuffing, or whatever it is that's unique or special to your holidays. And we don't think that you should give that up, but we think that you should pick and choose your battles. And certainly that would be something that I would say is a battle you should accept, right? You should indulge in the things that are special.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what do you think about that, Lola? Because when people come to you and they say, but it's Thanksgiving and I always have mashed potatoes, or it's Christmas and I always have the, gravy all over my mom's casserole or whatever, like, what do you say? Is it cool? Is that something that you allow for yourself? Or is it something that, it's like, well, if you go down that slippery slope, you'll never climb back up? Lola? Oh, wow. I just thought she was very still. Hello? Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. All right. Well, I will ask you guys. So can you speak to that? Do I have to give up the mashed potatoes or my Nana's cookies?
I don't think that you necessarily do. But you did say one important thing. You have to know yourself too. If that is going to lead to terrible choices at the next meal and the next day, if it's going to snowball into like a total Christmas cookie fest for the month of December, I would say, you have to, I don't want to say make rules for yourself, because that sounds very rigid. And I think at this time you have to be willing to be flexible and kind of go with the flow of things. You have to be able to forgive yourself if you do head down that road, but you got to be able to stop it too, cut it off. So I would say, like Erin said, go for the really special stuff. Like, I'm not going to personally waste my time on mashed potatoes. I can whip up mashed potatoes any old time. There have been plenty of Thanksgivings at my family. We're Italian. My mom makes lasagna. I don't even eat turkey half the time on Thanksgiving. I go for the lasagna because that is made like super special very occasionally. So I don't even eat turkey on Thanksgiving. I know that may be, not the cool thing to say, but for me, it's just not worth it. I can eat leftovers because everybody's going to leave the turkey. I can have that tomorrow.
Well, can I talk about something that, is a touchy issue for a lot of people, but alcohol? Like, look, the thing is that I have been trying to stay away from alcohol for the most part all of October. I didn't touch it, and I felt better for it, and I was better off for it. And then I allow myself for the occasional thing, like my birthday's this Friday. I'll probably have some wine or a cocktail or something. But that seems to be a slippery slope for me. Once I have even a drink of, like, even if I have a glass of wine, it's that much easier for me. I find that I end up making poor choices in general all along the way. So then it's like the carby foods and stuff that I probably should stay away from. Do you have any advice about the alcohol situation? There are a lot of parties and a lot of alcohol that come out at them.
Yeah, as far as I'm on the same sort of path as you are. For me, the calories associated with a glass of wine at dinner or a beer, it just isn't worth it to me anymore. So again, it's a really special occasion. I think the last time I had more than 2 drinks was at my brother-in-law's wedding a year ago. So it's just not worth it personally for me. I think a lot of times too, it can be a habit to just come home from a long day and pour yourself a glass of wine. That's a habit. That's not, I need the wine. That's not, I have a drinking problem, which can be a sensitive topic. But bottom line, I believe it's a habit. So if that speaks to anybody listening right now, think about that as a habit. Think about replacing that habit with something that may give you that same sort of warm comfort, make a cup of tea, find a nice herbal tea that you like, or splurge on, something else that you can replace that end of the day, take a warm bubble bath, that kind of thing. I know Erin will have some thoughts on.
Yeah, we've talked about this too before, Kiki, and thinking about, especially during this time of year, it seems like sometimes the cocktails get heavier. This is where like the eggnog comes out and the cream comes out. And we're not only talking about alcohol, but we're talking about like heavy, like filling drinks. And so part of me also thinks instead of maybe focusing on that, to focus on something that's either fun or lighter, or we've also talked a little bit about what sort of fun and festive option can you do with cranberries or sparkling water, or are there other sort of either lower calorie or non-alcoholic drinks that are equally as fun and festive, but maybe non-alcoholic? And for me, I know that alcohol, it's not about the alcohol. For me, the alcohol leads to then wanting to nibble on more food. And so for me, that's my slippery slope, is that I can do a glass of wine or whatever with dinner and I'll feel good about it. But when it turns into more like beer or something like that, and then I want like the snacks and the treats. And then that for me is my slippery slope. And that's where I get out of control.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have to say it did become a habit for me and my husband for a while. And I was kind of concerned. I was like, it became more the habit. It was more unusual not to have that drink. And then when we went out, it just felt like it was always happening. And what I learned is that it really was just a habit. It wasn't that nobody had a problem. It was just deciding not to drink. And so those empty calories add up. But along with those empty calories and those snacks at those parties, there's a whole lot else that happens, because what happens in between? There's party to party to party, our schedules, great upheaval. I had to stop by the grocery store, ran out of coffee. It's already mayhem. By the way, it's Tuesday and school's in session, and it's insane right now. So like, how do we stay healthy and fit in between all of these different obligations that we have, especially in busier times? We're talking right now about the holiday season, but this is really refers to any time when you have a whole lot going on. And maybe
I'll start, and I'll ask Angela to tag team with me. One of the things that we sort of feel strongly about is taking this opportunity, like today, tomorrow, right before really the beginning of the busy holiday season, to set to understand what you need and want over this sort of month and a half, to be really thoughtful about what does it mean to exercise and work out during this busy time. What are your goals in terms of eating during this time? What are your goals in terms of self-care and time for yourself during this time? And really take this pause or this beat before the throes of the crazy holiday season really set in, and be mindful about what that is, and whether that's scheduling them into your calendar, and being serious about this. Look, like over this holiday season, a lot of associations have downtime. They maybe aren't not everyone's in the office all of the time, and maybe it is a little more chill and relaxed. So is now the time, over lunch break, that in your office you might get a few people together who want to do yoga. Literally on the Healthy by Association page before we joined this chat, someone mentioned that they were doing office yoga, and that just is so awesome. Like, I think that we get caught up in the busyness of our lives and our associations and of our events, and we don't take time for ourselves. And so I say, just take this beat to be mindful about what you need, what your body needs, both in terms of fuel and hydration and exercise and self-care, and begin to schedule that in, and don't be guilty. I think my sister is a perfect example of this. I have 2 young nieces. She has 2 young daughters. And I think that she sometimes feels guilty while they're off for the holiday break to take the kids to the neighbor's house or to their grandma's house so she can go get a workout in, or go have, a half an hour to herself or whatever. And I don't think that you should have guilt for that. I think that is just building in your own self-care and fulfilling your own needs. And so use this time, be mindful, be thoughtful, and then actually schedule it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing in the chat box right now. Elizabeth said, yes, you have to put it on your calendar like a meeting for working out. And Angela, you responded to her. You said, yes, Elizabeth, I'm an early bird morning workout, or it might not happen later. And me too. 5 a.m. If I don't do it early in the morning, it's not going to happen. And Lola says scheduling workouts and having a morning routine. Drink water, journal, have a workout person, someone to meet up with. And that, see, everybody has their water. I love it. And now I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, I'm wondering where mine is. Lola's going to beat me up later. Yeah, I don't know. I just have my coffee. It's a bad thing. Okay, so what are some other things that we can do? I like how you keep bringing it back to purpose and goals, but like, I'll just go ahead and raise my hand up and say that while I have, I personally have goals for this month on what it is I'm trying to achieve. And I have my workout scheduled on my calendar, but I have not thought about when I come out of this holiday season, what it is in general that I'm hoping to do. So am I not thinking big enough, or where should I start with? Could you give me some examples of like the goals that you set for like a whole season?
Sometimes I think in a busy season like this, just getting through a week at a time is good enough. Honestly, the last 2 weeks for me, and this is not even leading up to Thanksgiving, and I'm not hosting, and I'm just a guest somewhere this week. I've had a very busy schedule, and I really did. I had to write it out, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, what I'm having, when I'm eating out, cross it out. You know, for me, I'm pretty much in a good workout routine where
this is my schedule.
Nice full page.
I want to tell you, it's not even hourly. It's like by the half hour. I have to figure this out.
But really, if you have, 15 to 30 minutes to spend to just kind of lay everything out, I think week to week is okay.
Yeah. And
really, you may have some time to breathe later in the month of December where you can really, it's always a good time to start thinking about the year ahead. But honestly, I think this is just survival mode at this point coming into the holidays.
I do too. And so as you're going through a lot of people travel for the holidays. I myself am going to be taking off for New Jersey. We're going to be at family's house, our family's house for several days. That takes you away from your usual environment. That takes you away from your usual schedule, and it can make things really difficult when, say, the piece of equipment that you work with every day is not right in the basement, right? And people are, it's a change for everybody. This is not unlike what a lot of us face, though, when we go to conferences and stuff, too. So how do you approach that? How do you approach like your fitness routine as you're maybe traveling and you're somewhere different for, say, a week?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. And I would say like a few things here in particular for me. I think that having either an app on your phone or having some videos on your computer, iPad, or phone that you could do while you're gone are a good way for me to bring some of my normal routine out with me on the road. I also think that if you're going to someone's house, like my parents' house for a few days, or if you're going to other family or friends, either figuring out if there's a workout buddy there that you can partner with, or that you can be sort of an advocate with you, or if there are just things that you can do with your family that are may not be the same intensity of workout, but things that are fun. So like one of the things that I know that I will do, I'm traveling to my parents for Thanksgiving this week. My parents are both older and they're not going to be running 5 miles with me while I'm gone. But every day, twice a day, like clockwork, my parents walk their dog. And so one of the things that I know that we'll be doing is walking, I will walk the dog with my parents twice a day. And again, it's not necessarily the same intensity of workout, but that will be something fun that we can do as a family, something that will still get me up and moving. And if I choose to supplement while I'm gone too, that's fine. But those are a couple of things that I think of. And certainly when we're on the road for conferences, look, I know that some of our associations host conferences over this holiday season as well. I know ASAE will have their tech conference right before Christmas as well. Same thing there, I think. Seeing if there are workout friends or buddies with you on the road, but also bringing some of your own sort of energy and routine, whether it's through, I have a meditation app, a workout app, and these are things that you can do with simple like household or hotel room things, like a chair or, in some cases, or a wall. In some cases, you don't even need anything in order to be able to do them.
Yes, and Angela, you wrote, when I was at Disney for a week, I vowed to just get my 10,000 steps in. Anything else was bonus. And Lola, who's still here, but in the chat room, she said, being spontaneous is good too. In a hotel, do something like get off on the top floor and run down the stairs to the bottom. Just make sure you can get out first and run back up and do 2 stairs at a time. And that's such an important thing. You mentioned the tech conference, and that brings us back to the conferences. And I wanted to touch a little bit on this because both of you also know a lot about the event space. You speak, you train, you do things like that with the hospitality sector. And also with learning. And so let's talk a little bit about how we can incorporate on the owner's side, as the planner, as the association executive, how can we make it easier for our members or our attendees to be healthier, to have a healthier sort of existence when they're attending our meetings? And I mean, that's for either one of you. You can just, whoever feels
I'll
passionate.
let Angela start.
Well, I think there's a lot of places you can do little things that I think can go a long way. There was a conference I was attending regularly, and kind of before the breakfast session, they had an opportunity just for a group walk. So that was really nice. And I think a lot of people do like to do a little bit of fitness in the morning. And so that was a nice opportunity to see a little bit of the downtown area and get out. And it's a great way to network too. I think, break stations with infused water, you can kind of make it fun. Something that Aaron and I were talking about the other day is the breaks. Conferences are very food focused. And I think from a planner's side, I think we feel like we need to always be keeping food in faces. And we were talking about afternoons, and afternoons are tough anyway. I think everybody feels like, the 3 o'clock lull, and I'd really like to take a nap, but I've got to power through another session and a half here. That afternoon break can be a spot where planners can work with their venues, have something proteiny rather than carb. Let's do some nuts or a trail mix, or, something that is going to fuel us rather than, put us to sleep. Because I think the worst is you lose your audience, who is going to either go back to their room and have a nap and just skip out altogether. If you really fuel your attendees in the proper way, I think that can be very effective for your conference and get you better results on your speaker feedback and, just sort of overall well-being. I mean, fuel rather than junk, fruit, nuts, that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, and Elizabeth over here, she says so much food when it comes to the conferences. And that's so true. It's just, it's as if, listen, if you didn't use alcohol as some sort of social lubricant in order to, it's like we're also eating. We don't want to look like we're not doing anything. So we're either drinking or we're eating. And this can actually work. I have a story. This can actually work in your favor, because when I, at the very beginning, was not drinking my evening wine or cocktail with my husband, my hands didn't have anything in them. And you know what I ended up doing? I picked up the guitar that sits on our main floor and started playing around with it again. And so something I never expected was cutting out alcohol would lead to me practicing guitar again. And so it's like your hands, you want to do something with it. Why not figure out something else other than eating and drinking in a way to work with people? So Beth says, what do you provide that people love but doesn't put them in a coma? I'm sugar-free and always blow it at conferences.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
No, I was just going to say that one of the things that I feel like maybe it's no longer as innovative as it once was, because I'm seeing more and more people do it. But, in terms of like the make your own trail mix or granola station, or I'm seeing a lot more sort of nuts and dried fruit and all kinds of things that you can put into a trail mix that I think is really innovative and interesting. It allows people to be interactive with their food. And so it's not just going, I think what happens is we walk over to the station, blindly pick up the donut or the cake or the cookie or the treat, we shove it in our mouth, and then it's done and it's gone. But when you really think about the experience you can create with sort of a make your own, just about anything that isn't overly heavy or sugary, because I know that I've seen the candy stations as well that maybe goes too far in the other direction. It still creates an experience, but it's a lot of sugar. But when you have the opportunity to, I think, get in there and make something yourself, I like the idea of the movement and the interaction, but also in something that's nourishing.
Yeah.
I love that too. And actually, Lola, always here, never forgotten, says, or don't feed them, have them go and run around, give them a mission of something to do outside, meet 5 new people, meet 5 people from a different state. She also has this great idea, and this totally appeals to me. Have a sensory station with smells, lotions, light, interact with your food. I love that idea, especially too, because I feel like if we, almost like the tasting aspect of it, if we focus on the sense of doing it, we're more mindful of what we're doing, right?
For a very short amount of time, Kiki, I was a vegetarian. I think it was about a 3 or 4 year span of time. And during that time, I was actually sharing this with Angela. Every vegetable sort of tasted better and more amazing than I had ever really thought of or experienced before. I'd always thought like the carrot was second fiddle to the steak or to the entree, whatever it was, to the protein. And then you begin to realize when that's kind of your main focus that, man, that carrot that was grown by the farmer, in my town or whatever, it just tastes so much better for some reason. And so thinking about the food and the sensory experience I love, and also just moving in general, I think that we sort of at our conferences have this belief that sit and get is the way to go, that as attendees, we have to sit for 75 minutes or 90 minutes and just experience whatever the speaker has to say. But if our speakers, and if as association professionals, we coach and mentor and guide our speakers to be more engaging, more interactive, get people out of their seats, move around, it actually improves not only your experience, but it also improves your ability to learn the content that you're experiencing during the session.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that too, because as we were talking, I started thinking about like so I always get that, and it's not just carbs. I can say this now for sure. It's not just carbs. I hit that afternoon slump every day. It's almost like clockwork. It's about 1 o'clock, and I'm like, except for association chat days, which I'm on, but I mean, seriously, like every day I just drag, and even on a very low carb diet. So, my question is, for those people who are attending meetings and they might be asked to sit and listen and, what are some ways that we can supercharge them? I mean, are there things in between that can engage them with activity? I've seen some of those, they're kind of like the Peloton bikes or whatever in the airport sometimes to give people an option to keep moving. Are there things like that we can do to maybe add the activity?
I think we have to try. I know for me, I once powered through a conference of 4 days. And instead of going back to my hotel to take a nap, I would go down to the gym at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in that period between dinner. And I mean, it was such a light bulb moment for me. Like, I could waste my time sleeping, or I can actually get a workout in, which is good for me. It's getting oxygen to my brain. and I actually feel energized when I'm done. That was a way better way for me to spend 30 or 45 minutes. And I really didn't, you don't realize it, I think, unless you really try it. But I think, during these breaks, maybe extend the break by 15 minutes. If you're having a 15-minute break, maybe make it a 30-minute break. And like we were talking before, or Lola mentioned, make it an activity or make it another icebreaker kind of a thing, or where you're, running the concourse or something like that. I love the idea of Peloton bikes. I mean, I think anything that'll kind of get oxygen flowing. I mean, gosh, yes, you sit for hours in sessions. I think you need to move your body to keep yourself going.
I've never done that. I've thought of it, but I've never actually been brave enough to go and do any kind of workout, which I think workout, and I think it has to be some sort of intense 30-minute to 1 hour sort of hot, sweaty, I won't have time to get ready kind of deal. But that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is just movement to get the oxygen flowing.
Yeah, I
right?
was watching like West Wing on my Kindle. Just kind of walking at like a decent pace, or not even a decent pace, just kind of because if you're dressed and ready for the day, you don't want to get, sweaty and messed up. But, just to move a little bit, or again, find somebody, instead of sitting in the lounge and having a drink before the dinner event, let's go for a walk, or let's go check out, anything down the street, or, let's go check out the pool. Let's walk around or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that too, because that's engaging the brain. That's giving you new experiences. That's something where it's not just sort of zoning out or hiding by sitting in a comfy little place and drinking, not that anything's wrong. Let's just say this, I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying my cocktails. But what I am saying is that it is, I think that you are choosing probably a healthier decision in many different ways. If you're choosing to adventure down the street or to the water side or wherever you are, rather than just zoning out in the bar.
And to be honest, Kiki, I think that in some cases, we're not allowing our attendees enough time to think and reflect on the content that's being presented. Look, at the end of the day, whether it is full-on content at a conference or whether it's just meeting and networking with new people, whatever that is, we're not creating enough space to allow them to do that. And so, if we extend the breaks, as Angela has indicated, or if we allow these sort of fun innovation stations where people can interact and engage and have fun and move, it also allows them space to think and reflect on topics during the conference. So what did you think of that speaker? Or how are you going to use this within your organization? Or it allows people to noodle on stuff that we don't necessarily give them space to do. We just sort of cram. It's all about how many credits can you get at this conference, or how many speakers can you see, or how many different topics can you hear. But how about we just pause for a moment, give everyone the chance to sort of breathe and think and reflect and process, so that they do leave the conference feeling ready to apply and implement some of this information within their organizations.
I have to say, noodle on. I like that term, Erin. That's that's what Elizabeth said. You had said creating more white space for our participants was good to both mentally think and recharge, but physically as well. Lola was talking about adult trampoline stations, balance stations, energetic massage stations, a hoverboard station, thinking more like a kid would, like kids do at recess. Think about what it's like when kids go to recess. This is what we need to be doing. What I like that you said, Erin, about reflection too, is what if at our tables, and I think I've seen this in some meetings, but what if we had these reflection areas where there were questions like, what's the best idea I've heard so far? Who are 3 people I need to meet? Who's one more how am I going to apply what I heard at the last session? These types of questions that help to remind us why we're there, how we can process what we're learning, and stay in sort of a healthy place with what we're trying to do, instead of getting lost in I'm tired and I'm just trying to cram everything in and how soon can I get out of here, and when does the reception start?
Absolutely.
Right. So, we got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to talk a little bit about other ways that we can both help maybe our learners, but also ourselves to survive and thrive throughout the rest of this holiday season. We're going to be starting a new year soon, and we want to be looking for ways that we can embrace a healthier lifestyle. I know that healthy by association, this might be a good time to talk a little bit about that more, is healthy by association. You guys are developing resources. You have merchandise. You can go there and get merch. Really cool pullovers, by the way. And I know that you created sort of a, I don't know if you called it a playlist or some sort of a resource that people can use with some of the ideas that we talked about today. Could you share a little bit about Healthy by Association and where people need to go for more
absolutely.
information?
So Healthy by Association was started in January of this year. It's a space for association and hospitality professionals to really think about their goals in regards to health and wellness, as well as to celebrate their accomplishments. One of the things that we talk about in Healthy by Association is that everybody is unique. And so it's not a one size fits all. And I think we understand that everyone's goals and their journey will be very unique to them. And it's a group of right now about 300 people on Facebook that are just looking to support one another in whatever that looks like to folks. And so Healthy by Association, if you search for that on Facebook, you can certainly find it. One of the things that I think we're tackling right now during this time of year is just thinking about our own association offices. It's that time of year where every awesome vendor that we work with throughout the year is wanting to thank us.
Yes.
And they're sending us Harry and David chocolate and the towers of candies and cookies and treats and all of that. And so, I think that we have a couple of ideas I'll share with you for all of that. And then, Angela, I think that we would be remiss if you didn't talk about your food for thought that we talked about this week, because I thought that was just a great idea. But in terms of that, what we say right now to that tower of cookies is just say no to the Christmas cookie diet. If you're going to eat Christmas cookies and Christmas candies and all of that for the next 6 or 8 weeks, it's going to take that much longer to get it off after the first of the year. So think about what is coming into the office and maybe continue to focus or emphasize bringing healthier options into the office. Some association kitchens are stocked, right? I know that associations provide treats and cookies and pop and all kinds of stuff, and maybe add a few healthier things to the list so people have options and choices. But also we just talk about sharing the wealth. So if you get the tower of treats, if you will, are there other departments? Are there other folks in your building? When Angela worked at a hotel, she said we would share it with like the banquet department or the banquet team or the housekeepers or whomever to sort of share the wealth and to allow everyone the appreciation and the enjoyment of that. So it wasn't confined to just a few folks.
Yeah, I love that idea. And, how about this? How about vendors? Listen to me now. If you're getting ready, if you're planning on sending something, what if from the vendor side, you send something that is super healthy and indulgent, like macadamia nuts, which are super expensive. I went to Whole Foods. I got macadamia nuts and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how expensive this bag of macadamia nuts are. But by the way, I found out, I know people, Trader Joe's is the worst place to get them. But like, what if you send like a nice big basket of healthy things that are supporting people, soothing the spirit, some aromatherapy. I mean, like, what about that? I would love
Angela
that.
has the best idea. Will you share this food for thought idea?
So among the towers of, chocolate goodies and cookies and homemades, thank you. That's so lovely. We had one vendor, and I was telling Erin, I'll never forget this. This one vendor sent us this beautiful glass cake plate, and wrapped up inside of it, to make like a tier, were books, personal development books. So So you've got the cubby. You've
Oh,
got
that's so cool.
You know, you name it, the slight edge. They were all in there. And they put the little tag and it said, here's some food for thought to start you off on your new year.
Ah,
right?
That is so smart.
The greatest. So you add to your office's library of personal development stuff that everybody can benefit from. And it's not food. That was the biggest bonus.
You don't have to worry about dietary restrictions or allergies. It's like you're covered. You've got, and I mean, that's awesome. What a great gift.
I mean, and really, I will never forget that gift. I mean, it was, I know exactly who the vendor was. They're wonderful and fantastic. And this really reflected them too. And I just loved it.
Oh my gosh. I love that idea. So before we head out, are there any final thoughts for people that you want to share? Anything that you really think it's important for people to know before we head out into our holiday long weekend and the holiday season?
I just want to say that every day is a new day to start fresh. And so even if you slip up on the food or the treats or the candies or the cookies, you miss a workout routine, or you miss a day of self-care, whatever it is, every day start anew, start afresh. Do not allow yourself to wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to start again. Just start the next day with the best of intention. I think that's the best advice we can give in moving forward, and to not beat yourself up. Yeah. It's okay to enjoy yourself and to indulge from time to time, but maintain sort of your eyes on the prize, stay focused, and start each day anew and afresh if you slip up.
I love that. Angela,
I think
thoughts?
Just going back to what I opened with was just remember your why and keep that in mind and let it drive every decision that you make. Definitely don't beat yourself up. And I'm going to recommend agua. Have lots of water on hand. Water can pretty much get you through any indulgence. Just hydrate the next day.
I mean, I had my water bottle here and now I feel so bad. I was like, everybody had it but me. I'm exposed, you guys. So, but as Erin already shared with us, every day is a new day. So there is hope for me yet. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, joining us all today. I hope that you'll come back and I can have Lola back and we're going to figure this all out so that we can all be on together and talk more about some of these topics, because guess what, guys? There are more healthy topics we can discuss. You just better believe it. You can always watch episodes of Association Chat. As soon as we finish here, within minutes, you're going to be able to watch the replay here. But every Monday, the latest episode of Association Chat, the edited episode of Association Chat, is available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio, which means you can ask your Alexa device to play Association Chat on iHeartRadio, and it will play the latest episode. So test it out and see what you think. Next week's live chat is actually going to be really, really special. I'm going to be reporting to you live from ASAE headquarters. It's ASAE Foundation's Giving Tuesday. We're going to have a special Giving Tuesday episode of Association Chat. There's going to be a challenge for vendors. There's going to be a challenge for young professionals. There's going to be a challenge for everybody for this special hour. So you're going to be hearing more about it in the rest of this week and the time leading up to that particular chat. And then the week after that, we're going to be talking about the future of associations with an international slant, talking to author Omer Soker. So I hope all of you have had a great time, that you've learned a lot. And until next time, everyone, keep asking questions to learn every day. As Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the questions, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So have a great week, everyone. You know, sometimes the cave can hold questions too, and sometimes they're valuable. They could also be the treasure. I just had to say that, you know. All right, bye, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you.